Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining today's session. My name is Christina Austin. I am the Field Operations Director for the Child Care Licensing Division. My role is to lead our statewide licensing teams and to bring a strategic lens to quality and safety in childcare. It is so wonderful to be here with you today, and we truly hope you find this information useful and supportive as we navigate these rule revisions together. This presentation is a summary of the key changes to the Registered Family Child Care Rules, which will go into effect on July 1st, 2025. We will not be covering any rules that do not change during this rule revision. Please note this is an overview of the main updates, but it does not cover every single change in the new rule set. Our goal today is to give you a clear understanding of the most significant updates that will affect your child care program. We want to make sure everyone knows how to access interpretation services if needed. If you require interpretation in another language, simply click the globe icon. It looks like a small globe, and you'll find it at the bottom right corner of your Zoom screen. Once you click it, just select your preferred language from the list and the interpretation will begin immediately. If you have any trouble accessing interpretation, please let us know through the Q&A tab and we'll do our best to assist you. Before we dive into today's content, I'd like to take just a moment to go over a few housekeeping items to help the session run smoothly. First, please note that the chat function has been disabled for this webinar. If you have any questions during the presentation, we ask that you use the Q&A tab located at the bottom of the screen. We'll do our best to address as many questions as possible during this session. That being said, please understand that we may not be able to answer every question today, especially if it requires more detailed follow-up. In those cases, someone from the Child Care Licensing Division may follow up after the session. And if your question is specific to your individual program, we encourage you to reach out to your licensing specialist. They're the best resource for providing tailored guidance and support based on your unique circumstances. Thanks for helping us keep this session organized. Before we get into today's session, I'd like to take a moment to introduce the incredible team hosting today's webinar. These individuals bring a wide range of experience, insight, and dedication to supporting family child care providers across Oregon. I have already introduced myself, but I would like to also introduce Cynthia Smith and Jenny Souder, both regional managers who provide leadership and support to licensing staff and ensure consistent implementation of rules and guidance across the regions. We're also joined by Jackie Barrios, a senior licensing specialist who brings deep knowledge of licensing standards and provider support. From the policy side, we welcome Abby Strom, our Child Care Initiatives Analyst, who plays a key part in developing policy by analyzing legislation, leading large-scale initiatives, including rule development, and collaborating across departments within DELF to support child care providers and families throughout Oregon. We also have Ronnie Pham, our child care quality specialist, who works on internal and external activities that seek to build quality child care for children, families, and the early learning workforce. And finally, we have Bree Urban, CCLD's Communication and Database Coordinator, is here this evening supporting by sharing the presentation. I'm thrilled to have this team with us today, and I appreciate their commitment to supporting you and our family child care community. Now I'm going to pass things over to Abby to talk more about our rulemaking process.
Thank you, Christina. My name is Abby Strom, and I am the Child Care Initiatives Analyst with the Child Care Licensing Division. Before we dive into today's content, I want to take a moment to share how we got to this point with the revised rule set. This update to the Registered Family Rules is actually a part of a much larger effort happening across all of CCLD. and includes a full-scale revision of all of our licensing rules. We began with the creation and adoption of the rules for school-age programs, then moved to the revision of certified child care center rules. In the next phase, we revised the rules for registered and certified family child care. You may have also heard that CCLD recently adopted rules for certified outdoor nature-based programs. If you are interested in reviewing any of these rule sets, they can be found on the DELC website. As part of a much broader effort, we have been guided by a few key principles that you can see laid out on this slide. Over on the right-hand side, you will also see a summary of the engagement that's gone into this rulemaking process. This included listening sessions with providers, an online feedback form, as well as community work groups and an advisory committee. Some of you may have participated in one or more of these engagement activities, and we thank you for your feedback. This rule set was not created using feedback just from our formal engagement. A lot of the changes you see today have come from your day-to-day conversations with your licensing specialists and things that we've learned over time about what needs more clarity and our shared commitment in keeping children safe and healthy. Next slide. While we are very grateful that you are all in attendance and here ready to learn about some of these rule changes, please note that not all of the changes are covered today. Our new revision of registered family rules is a total revision. The rulebook is reorganized for clarity, and many rules have been rewritten to increase understanding using plain language. Because there are a lot of changes, DELC has support set up for you beyond this webinar. A video series will be, which will go into depth, many of the changes in each rulebook section. Those videos will be available on the DELC YouTube page in the coming weeks. We have a library of new technical assistance documents and materials, which you can request from your licensing specialist for implementing the new rules. And your licensing specialist really is your best resource if you have questions specific to your program. We know that it will take time to learn the rules and apply them to your program. Starting in July, when these rules take effect, your licensing specialist will take time at your next licensing visit to make a plan with you on what your next steps will be for implementation of any of the new rules. We will be spending the next year providing technical assistance and allowing programs ample time to come into compliance with the rule changes. And while your licensing specialists have received quite a bit of training and will be ready for any questions you have in July, we know that applying rules to specific programs will take time, and we're here to help. Now it's time to dig into the rule content, and I will pass this over to Jackie Barrios, who will kick us off with some rule changes to definitions. Thank you.
Thanks, Abby. Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Barrios, and as it was mentioned, I'm a senior licensing specialist, and I'm from the Salem Licensing Unit. And I'm excited to be here and to be able to share the new rules with all of you. I will begin the evening by reviewing the updated definitions. Definitions are a way to support the rules for childcare, ensuring the rules are applied as intended. There have been several significant changes and additions to the definitions section. One significant change is the replacement of childproof lock with inaccessible to children. This change broadens the language and provides more flexibility for childcare providers to use various methods to ensure that hazards, toxins, and potentially dangerous equipment are maintained inaccessible to children. While childproof locks are still an option, you can now explore other safe and effective ways to prevent access to various hazards. Some other definition updates include, but are not limited to, child with specific needs, developmentally appropriate, physical restraint, play yard, and supervision. These definition updates help providers gain a clear understanding of the rules and help prevent misinterpretations. Now let's take a look at some updates related to family child care policies and the communication of those policies to others. First, parents, volunteers, and substitute providers are now required to receive copies of your policies in electronic or paper format and be notified whenever changes are made to them. This ensures everyone involved is fully informed and aware of the expectations and guidelines that govern your program. Next, the declaration of viewing, which was previously required, is no longer required to be used. While it's still important for everyone to view and acknowledge your registration, there is no longer a formal written declaration confirming that it has been viewed. Some of the specific elements that must be included in your written policies are provider contact information, parent responsibilities, emergency preparedness and your plan on how to respond to emergencies, transportation information if provided, behavior and guidance policy, child abuse and neglect prevention, and night care if applicable. These updates are designed to enhance transparency, safety, and communication within your childcare home. So it's essential that you ensure your policies reflect these new requirements. Next, let's review the rule updates regarding your emergency preparedness and evacuation plans. These are crucial for ensuring that you're prepared in case of an emergency. You are required to have and maintain a written emergency preparedness plan that addresses evacuation, relocation, shelter in place, lockdown procedures, and responding to medical emergencies and other incidents. The new rule also states that you must review the written evacuation plan and all emergency procedures at least once per licensing year and update them as necessary. You must identify a licensed physician, hospital, or clinic for emergency medical care. For evacuation purposes, your designated safe areas and alternate shelters must be located at least 50 feet away from the home being evacuated. This distance ensures that everyone is safe from potential hazards or further risks. The new rules also address weather conditions, temperatures, and air quality. You are now required to account for these factors in your emergency plans, including the potential for extreme temperatures or poor air quality that could impact children's safety during an evacuation or while sheltering in place. You must also have an emergency light source, such as a flashlight, in working condition. These changes are designed to improve safety and ensure that your program is well prepared for emergencies, no matter what kind of situation arises. Now let's move on to rule updates related to child enrollment forms and the information you'll need to maintain for each child enrolled in your care. You now have the flexibility to store children's records either in paper or electronic format. The key is to ensure that records are both easily accessible and securely stored, regardless of their format. The requirement to include a child's dentist's information on the enrollment form has been removed, and it is no longer required to be collected. You must also document that parents have received a copy of your policies. This could be a signed acknowledgement form or another method that documents that enrolling parents have received and reviewed your policies. And these changes streamline enrollment procedures while ensuring that key information is collected and stored appropriately. Let's now review the update regarding immunization records and how they relate to your child care program. If a child is enrolled in a public or private elementary school, you are no longer required to document their immunizations in the child's file. Immunization records will already be tracked through the school system, and it is understood that the school will meet the necessary immunization requirements. The rules have also been updated to allow more flexibility in situations where children may not yet have their immunizations up to date if they're experiencing homelessness. This allows parents or guardians the time needed to take the necessary actions to comply with immunization requirements. These updates ensure that your program can accommodate all children, even if they are in situations where documentation or full immunization compliance is temporarily unavailable. Next, we'll discuss the rule updates for parent permissions and when they are required for your child care program. You must have current written permission from parents for their child regarding specific activities, which include high-risk activities such as swimming, mountain biking, or any other potentially risky activity. If you plan to use photographs or recordings of a child for public purposes, such as on social media, in advertisements, or other public-facing materials. If you're transporting a child or taking them on a field trip outside of the immediate neighborhood, prior written permission is required for anyone picking up a child from your child care who is not listed as an authorized person in a child's record. Additionally, written permission must be obtained before allowing a school-age child to arrive or leave your child care alone. For chronic medical conditions, you may obtain written permission with specific instructions when administering medication for up to 12 months. Examples include diaper creams and inhalers. If a family is experiencing homelessness, there is flexibility in cases where written permission is not obtainable due to the family's circumstances. Permissions can be provided verbally as long as you document the date and time you were given permission and maintain it in the child's file. Electronic permission, such as through a text or email message, can also be used as an accepted form of permission. These updates ensure that you maintain appropriate permissions while also being sensitive to the circumstances of families who may be facing challenges. Now, let's cover some significant changes related to the drop-off and pickup procedures for your childcare home. One key update is that you must require any person bringing a child to the child care home to remain with the child until a caregiver accepts the child into care. This ensures that children safely transition from their parents' care to yours. It also helps maintain accountability and ensures a smooth transition. For pickup, the new rules state that you may only release a child to the parent or another person identified and named by the parents. If the person picking up the child is not known to you, they must show identification before the child can be released. Additionally, except as excluded by court order, parents must be permitted access to their child and all child care areas while their child is in care. Advance notice is not required. These updates are designed to enhance safety during drop-off and pickup times and ensure that children are in the hands of those whom their parents have authorized. Next, let's review the requirements for maintaining personnel records for substitute providers. A registered family provider must maintain current personnel records for each substitute provider, either in paper or electronic format. These records must include the following: Central Background Registry, or CBR, confirmation letter. This letter confirms that substitute providers have enrollment in the CBR. If the substitute provider does not yet have a CBR confirmation letter, you must keep written documentation showing that you have verified with the Child Care Licensing Division, or CCLD, that the caregiver is enrolled in the CBR and linked to the child care home, including the date, time, and name of the CCLD staff member that you spoke with. They must have current pediatric CPR, first aid, and food handler certification. Finally, their records must also include evidence of participation in an orientation. By keeping these records up to date, you help ensure that all caregivers, whether permanent or substitute, are qualified and prepared to provide safe, high-quality care for the children in your program. Next, we'll talk about the updates related to attendance records and the documentation you need to maintain for your childcare home. A registered family home must maintain the current day's attendance record in paper or electronic format. The attendance record must include the child's full name and the times of their arrival and departure, so the record shows the children in attendance at any given time. If a substitute provider is caring for children, the attendance record must include their name as well as the date and time of their arrival and departure. In addition to attendance records, several other important pieces of documentation must be maintained. Written reports must be kept for any injuries. Documentation of any medication that is administered to a child, along with any side effects they may exhibit. And lastly, you are required to keep a written record of any suspected child abuse or neglect reports made to the Department of Human Services, Child Welfare, or law enforcement. This is a critical part of your duty as a mandatory reporter aimed at protecting children and complying with legal requirements. These documentation updates help ensure that your program operates transparently, safely, and in compliance with all regulations. Keeping accurate records is key to both safety and accountability. Now, let's discuss important updates regarding the accessibility of records and their use in emergency situations. You must make all records required by these rules available to CCLD at all times. Additionally, there must be at least one caregiver on site who can access any records stored in either paper or electronic formats. One critical update is that electronic records, including but not limited to children's records and the current day's attendance, must be portable in case of an emergency evacuation. This allows ease of taking records with you quickly and securely if you need to evacuate the child care home. For electronic records, you must also have procedures in place to ensure prompt access during an emergency. This includes having a backup system, either on-site or off-site, to safeguard your records and ensure access in the event of data loss. Whether through cloud storage, an external hard drive, or another secure backup method, it's essential that these records can be retrieved when needed. These updates focus on ensuring records are both secure and accessible during routine operations, as well as in the event of an emergency, ensuring that your child care home remains compliant and prepared. Let's now talk about updates related to required notifications for serious injuries and incidents. The new rule requires that any serious injuries or incidents be reported to CCLD by 5 p.m. of the next business day. This ensures that incidents are addressed promptly and that CCLD is kept informed of any serious situations that may occur in your program. There is also an expanded list of situations that must be reported to the child's parents immediately and documented. These include if a child sustains an injury that may need evaluation by a medical professional, you must inform the parents immediately. Also, any injury or impact to a child's head must be reported to the parents immediately. Head injuries are a significant concern, and it's essential to keep parents informed so they can take appropriate action if needed. These updates are aimed at improving communication and ensuring that both the child care provider and parents are informed as soon as possible about any serious incidents that may affect the child's well-being. Now I'm going to hand things over to Jenny to discuss updates to rules around the Central Background Registry enrollment.
Thank you, Jackie. Good evening, everyone. My name's Jenny Souter, and I'm a regional manager from the Portland area. I'll be discussing an update regarding individuals who may live on the premises of your childcare home, such as those living in an accessory dwelling unit, and their involvement with the childcare program. If there are individuals living on the premises who do not have access to childcare space or the children, there are specific allowances in place. These individuals are not required to be enrolled in the CBR as long as they do not interact with the children or have access to the childcare spaces. This is designed to ensure that only individuals who have direct contact with the children or who work in the childcare are subject to the CBR requirements. If someone living on the premises does have access to the children or the childcare areas, they would still need to go through the background check process and be enrolled in the CBR. And now we're going to address a question from the chat. So my husband, who would work before I open and home after I close, would they need to be on the CBR?
Hi, Jenny. Thank you
Hi,
for
Abby.
that question. The last rule that we just reviewed was really aimed at individuals who are living in spaces or buildings that are on the property that are not the childcare home. So anyone who lives or resides in the childcare home and is 18 years or older must still enroll in the Central Background Registry.
Thank you, Abby. Good clarification. Appreciate that. Let's now discuss some more important updates related to caregiver training and the use of the Oregon Registry Online System, or ORO. All caregivers employed by a registered family provider must have an active account with ORO. This is the state's online system for tracking training and credentials. It ensures that caregivers are properly registered and that their training records are up to date. Additionally, all training must be approved by ORO to count towards required certifications or qualifications. Another change is that recognizing and reporting child abuse and neglect, or RCAN, training can now be taken every 3 years instead of every 5 years as previously. This adjustment helps ensure that caregivers are consistently updated on the best practices and legal requirements when it comes to identifying and reporting child abuse and neglect. These changes aim to keep training consistent, up to date, and properly documented to ensure that all caregivers are qualified and prepared to provide safe and effective care for the children in your program. Next, let's go over some important updates related to the environment where the children are napping or resting to ensure their safety. You must ensure that there is sufficient light in any room where children are napping or resting. This is important so that caregivers can clearly see each child's face from any point in the room. It is also important to be mindful of background noise in the rooms where children are napping. Whether you're using music, a sound machine, or white noise to help children rest, the noise must not be too loud. When a caregiver is in a separate room from the children, the doors must be kept open, wide enough so that the caregiver can easily step into the room to perform frequent audio and visual checks of the children. These changes focus on making sure that caregivers can monitor the children effectively during rest time, ensuring their safety while maintaining a calm and comfortable environment. Now let's talk about updates that focus on the ways in which caregivers communicate and interact with children to foster a positive and supportive environment. When interacting with children, you must ensure that the environment promotes healthy, culturally responsible child development. This means creating a space where children feel heard, respected, and encouraged. Some examples of this include giving encouragement and positive feedback to help build confidence, modeling active listening and showing respect when communicating, speaking to children at their eye level, which helps them feel valued and understood, providing kind greetings and goodbyes to foster a welcoming environment, validating children's feelings and ideas so they know their emotions are acknowledged, using a calm and encouraging tone of voice to create a safe space, being curious about the individuality of each child and their family to better support their unique needs. Continuing on with creating a healthy climate for child development. You must also encourage positive interactions between children. Some ways to support this include modeling social skills and empathy, so children learn how to interact with others respectfully, helping children understand their feelings and the feelings of others. This fosters kindness and compassion. Supporting children who may struggle to make friends by guiding them and creating opportunities for connection. Encouraging play between children of all abilities and backgrounds to promote inclusivity and mutual respect. Lastly, it's important to note that when caregivers are lifting or moving a child, they must do so in a way that ensures safety and comfort for the child. This means using appropriate techniques and being mindful of the child's comfort throughout the process. By implementing these practices, children will feel respected, valued, and better equipped to navigate relationships and emotions and help providers foster a nurturing and supportive environment that prioritizes both the emotional and physical well-being of the children in their care. Next, let's go over the updates regarding daily routines and activities and how the schedule should be structured for the children in care. One of the key changes to this is screen time guidelines. The new rule adjusts the previous daily limit from 2 hours a day to a weekly limit. It is 10 hours a week for school-age children and 5 hours a week for children who are preschool age and younger. This gives more flexibility while still limiting the screen time to ensure that children have a healthy balance of activities throughout the week. Another important update is that you must ensure daily outdoor play for each child, regardless of their age, bearing in mind that weather and environmental conditions do not pose a health or safety risk. This helps ensure that children get the physical activity and fresh air that they need every day, which is important for their physical and mental development. We will continue to review rule changes throughout daily routines and activities. You are required to follow a consistent daily routine that should allow for flexibility. This flexibility ensures that the needs of individual children and the group are addressed. It's important to balance structure with the ability to adapt to the child's needs as they arise. The routine must include several key components to support children's well-being. Regular activities such as eating, napping, and toileting. A balance of active and quiet activities, allowing children to engage in both energetic play and calmer, more focused tasks. Individual choice time, where children can select activities that interest them, as well as group activities that promote socialization and cooperation. Indoor and outdoor activities every day, ensuring children have variety and the chance to explore different environments. These updates emphasize creating a well-rounded, balanced daily routine that supports the developmental needs of the children while maintaining structure and flexibility. And now I will hand it over to Cynthia to discuss more about changes to infant and toddler care.
Thank you, Jenny. Good evening, everyone. My name is Cynthia Smith, and I'm also a regional manager from the Portland area. I'm excited to take this time to talk about some updates related to infants and toddlers, particularly in terms of movement and the use of restrictive equipment. Infants and toddlers must be given opportunities to interact and be near one another. This helps with their social development and promotes a sense of connection, which is important for their emotional well-being. A key update is that restrictive infant equipment, such as bouncers, exercisers, swings, infant seats, high and low chairs, or structured infant carriers, must be limited in their use. The new rule limits the use of these types of equipment to no more than 30 minutes in any 2-hour period. This ensures that infants have ample time to move freely, which is crucial for their development of their motor skills and muscle strength. There are exceptions to the 30-minute time limit. For example, if an infant is actively engaged in eating, stroller walks, or car rides, the time they spend in the restrictive equipment may exceed the 30-minute limit. These activities are necessary for a child's routine, but they don't restrict development in the same way. These updates are designed to support infants' physical and social development by limiting the use of equipment that restricts their movement and encourages natural interactions and activities. Next, let's cover important updates regarding the feeding of infants, particularly around human milk, formula, and the introduction of solid foods. There are now specific requirements for the storage, preparation, and serving of human milk or formula to ensure practices are safe and hygienic. A new rule has been introduced that no juice of any kind may be served to infants. This helps reduce the risk of early childhood cavities and ensures infants get the nutrients they need from breast milk or formula and not sugary beverages. Another important update is that infant formula cannot be mixed with cereal, fruit juice, or other foods unless there is written permission from a medical practitioner. Lastly, infants under 6 months of age may not be given water to drink unless there is written approval from a medical professional. These changes ensure that feeding practices are safer and more appropriate for the developmental needs of infants, helping to promote their overall health and nutrition. Let's now talk about the updated rules for cribs, portable cribs, and play yards in family childcare settings. This ensures the safety and comfort of infants during nap time. You must provide each infant with an individual crib, portable crib, or play yard to ensure a safe and personal sleeping space. However, you are not required to have a separate crib, portable crib, or play yard for every enrolled infant, only enough to ensure each infant has the space they need when needed. The sleeping surface must be firm, flat, and non-inclined to reduce the risk of suffocation or unsafe sleeping positions. The mattress must meet the following criteria. It should fit tightly in the crib or play yard with no gaps between the mattress and the sides of the product. It must be covered in a durable, washable, and waterproof material, must be firm enough to hold its own shape and not indent or conform to the infant's head. And finally, must be covered by a tight-fitting sheet that stays in place with regular use, with no slacking or bunching. These requirements aim to ensure that infants have a safe, secure sleeping environment that complies with the latest safe standards, reducing the risk of injury or suffocation. This slide continues to discuss more changes regarding infant sleep equipment, safety, and developmental materials in family childcare settings. It's important to note that bassinets, stacking, wall, or module cribs, or crib bumper pads are prohibited. These types of equipment do not meet the current safety standards for infant sleep environments. Sheets must be changed when soiled, before used by another child, and at a minimum of once a week. This ensures clean and sanitary sleeping environment for each infant. In support of traditional Indigenous practices, cradle boards or other traditional Indigenous sleep equipment may be used as a sleep surface for infants. However, caregivers must exercise caution and make sure not to overbundle or overheat an infant while using this equipment, ensuring the child's comfort and safety. Now, let's review an important update regarding materials and toys in registered family childcare settings. You must offer a variety of materials that are developmentally appropriate and stimulating to a child's senses. This means including material that encourages exploration, creativity, and engagement, and tailored to the child's age and developmental needs. Materials and toys must not pose a choking hazard, ensuring the safety of younger children. This includes small objects with a diameter less than 1 1/4 inches, plastic bags, styrofoam items, rubber or latex balloons. And finally, let's review an important update regarding infant equipment restrictions and high chair safety in registered family and childcare settings. Certain infant equipment can no longer be used due to safety concerns. These include baby walkers, doorway jumpers, accordion safety gates, bean bags, water beds, foam pads for sleeping, and unstructured infant slings or wraps. These items pose risks such as fall hazards, suffocation dangers, or lack of proper support for infants. If you use high chairs, they must comply with Consumer Product Safety Commission standards and include a broad base to prevent tipping, a latch to keep a child from raising the tray, a T-shaped strap or a guard to prevent entrapment or sliding out. These changes are designed to enhance the infant's safety and reduce risk associated with improper equipment use. We did get a question in the chat around the use of baby walker or bouncers, and if they are able to use them while children are in care.
Thank you, Cynthia. We're happy to clarify that for folks today. Baby walkers, which are devices that allow for an infant to sit inside and are equipped with either rollers or wheels and allow the child to move across the floor, are not allowed for use. Baby doorway jumpers, which are devices that allow an infant to bounce while supported in a seat by an elastic bungee cord, are suspended from a doorway, are also not allowed for use in a registered family childcare. Providers can use equipment like baby bouncers or exercisers, swings, low or high chairs, and structured infant carriers, but there are limits on how long a child or an infant can be in that equipment. And that limit is no more than 30 minutes in any 2-hour period. Thanks.
Thank you, Abby. Now let's review some updated safe sleep guidelines for infants, which have been clarified to align with the American Academy of Pediatrics recommendations. These changes emphasize safe sleep practices that protect infants while they sleep. While infants are sleeping, you must monitor them frequently to ensure their safety. This includes checking to make sure that the infant is breathing properly, is not overheated, is not in distress, and does not need any immediate assistance. Infants must always be placed on their backs to sleep. They should be placed on a flat, firm, non-inclined surface to reduce the risk of suffocation or other sleep-related incidents. For infants who can roll from back to front or back to side, they may remain in the sleep position they assume. As we continue to focus on safe sleep, we will now discuss what should and should not be in or around the infant's sleep space. Infants must never have their heads or faces covered by blankets, linens, or other items while they sleep. Additionally, no item shall be placed over the top or sides of the crib, portable crib, or play yard, such as tents or sheets. Items such as headwear, bibs, necklaces, and garments which have ties or drawstrings must be removed from the infant before they are laid down to sleep. Swaddling or any other type of clothing or covering that restricts the infant's arms or leg movements is prohibited at all times, even when the child is not sleeping. Additionally, weighted blankets, weighted clothing, or any other weighted object should never be placed near or on a sleeping infant. Now, returning to the chat, there was a question around hearing aids for infants during nap time. Abby?
Thank you, Cynthia. If you are caring for an infant that has a specific medical device that's needed during nap time, we would encourage you to reach out to your licensing specialist to discuss the situation and what options may be available to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Abby. And additionally, only a plain pacifier is allowed in the crib, portable crib, or play yard. No pacifier clips, bottles, toys, pillows, stuffed animals, blankets, or bumpers shall be present. Lastly, if you are holding or carrying a sleeping infant in a structured infant carrier and engaged in an activity, you must move that infant to a safe sleep surface as soon as the activity is finished. If you're holding a sleeping infant, you must remain awake, alert, and focused on the infant and be able to immediately observe or feel any signs of distress. By keeping these by keeping the spaces free of items such as these, we can help ensure the infants rest comfortably and safely. Let's go over the updated guidelines for diapering practices in family childcare settings, which focus on ensuring the health and safety of the children in your care. Diapers must be checked at least every 2 hours unless the child is sleeping, or more frequently if the child's needs require it. The rules have been clarified regarding the diaper changing area. It's essential that this area is maintained with cleanliness and hygiene to ensure a safe and sanitary environment for diaper changes. The updated rule allows for the use of cloth or reusable diapers in a family childcare setting. However, these must be stored and cleaned according to specific requirements to prevent contamination and ensure hygiene. A disinfecting solution must be available at each diaper changing area and kept ready for immediate use. The disinfectant must be stored out of children's reach to avoid any accidents or misuse. These updates are designed to enhance the cleanliness and safety of the diapering process, helping to prevent potential health risks such as skin infections or contamination. We did have a question come in through the chat. Is there a list of approved disinfectants and sanitizers?
Hi, Cynthia. We actually have definitions of sanitizing and disinfecting in rule. Providers may choose to use diluted bleach and then test that solution of bleach and water to make sure that it meets the required concentrations. Or they could choose to use a commercial product that meets the definition in the rule. So there are a couple of options for both sanitizing and disinfecting solutions.
Thank you. We also had a question about out of reach for children in the diaper changing area. The question was, when out of reach is said, does that mean locked up for the cleaning solution for the diaper changing area?
So great question, and happy to clarify about that. This is actually part of the new definition of what it means for something to be inaccessible to children. Specifically, a product can just be stored out of reach, like a high shelf, assuming that none of the children can access or reach that shelf. There are several other ways that a provider may store something and have it be considered inaccessible to children. And one of those examples is behind a secured baby gate. You can look at the definition of inaccessible to children for more examples of how to store these materials.
Thank you, Abby. And now I'm going to hand things back over to Jackie to talk more about behavior and guidance. Jackie?
Thank you, Cynthia. We will now review an important update regarding behavior and guidance policies in family childcare settings. These changes emphasize positive guidance and ensuring fair treatment for all children. You must use positive guidance techniques to help children develop self-regulation, self-direction, and respect for others. You must also actively intervene to stop the unfair treatment of children based on their family, gender, race, ethnicity, economic status, ability, religion, or cultural background. These updates reinforce the importance of creating a nurturing, respectful, and equitable environment for all children. Let's go over some important updates regarding prohibited discipline and actions in family childcare settings. These actions are now more clearly defined to ensure that all discipline methods are safe, respectful, and developmentally appropriate. The new rules explicitly prohibit certain actions that are harmful or inappropriate for children. These include using food or foreign objects in a child's mouth as a form of discipline, exposing children to extreme temperatures, whether hot or cold, as a form of punishment, humiliation or name calling, including the use of derogatory or sarcastic remarks that could damage a child's self-esteem, excess physical exercise as a punishment, which could be harmful or unsafe for children, requiring a child to remain silent or inactive for extended periods, which is inappropriate for their development. Removal from all activities as a disciplinary action, which can lead to isolation and emotional distress. These actions are prohibited because they can cause physical harm, emotional distress, or hinder a child's development. Instead, you are encouraged to use positive discipline strategies that focus on teaching, guiding, and helping children understand appropriate behavior. By following these updated guidelines, we create a supportive and safe environment where children feel respected and valued. Next, let's discuss the updated physical restraint policy for family providers. These changes emphasize safety, appropriate use, and documentation when restraint is necessary. It is important that providers read through the rules regarding physical restraint. The new rules include when physical restraint may be used, rules around physical restraint, when to discontinue the use of physical restraint, what needs to happen if physical restraint is used, which includes reporting and documenting, and finally, rules around if physical restraint is used more than once on a specific child. These changes ensure that physical restraint is only used as a last resort, is done safely, and is monitored for appropriate use. Now I will turn it back over to Jenny.
Thank you, Jackie. Let's next discuss updates to exit requirements for family childcare homes, which ensures safe evacuation routes in case of emergencies. Every floor used for childcare must now have 2 exits. One exit per floor must be a door leading directly outside or to ground level. The second exit may be either another direct door to the outside or an operable window that meets the CCLD requirements. These updated rules ensure that all children and caregivers have safe, accessible, and quick evacuation routes in the event of a fire or emergency. The rules also added requirements around portable electric space heaters, indoor temperatures, lofts, and window coverings. These updates enforce emergency preparedness, safe heating practices, and child safety within registered family childcare settings. Now let's discuss the updated rules for preventing access and exposure to toxic substances and required barriers around bodies of water. The updated rules clarify that any hazards, including sanitizing and disinfecting solutions, must be inaccessible to children. Additional examples of hazards include lead-based paint, plumbing or fixtures with lead, asbestos, or toxic mold. These substances are serious health risks, and childcare homes must take steps to eliminate or prevent access and exposure to these toxins. The rules also now require that access to pools, ponds, and hot tubs be prevented with appropriate barriers. These barriers must meet specific safety standards to ensure they effectively prevent access and accidental drownings. By ensuring that these hazards are properly stored and preventing access to dangerous areas like pools and ponds, you are creating a safer environment for the children in your care. Now let's review the updated guidelines regarding the use of tools that pose a safety risk, such as glue guns, irons, and similar items, when working with preschool and school-age children. This rule allows for the use of tools like glue guns, irons, and other tools for preschool and school-age children. However, these tools must be used under very specific conditions. Children must receive clear instructions on how to use the tools safely. This includes demonstrating proper handling and explaining potential dangers. The use of these tools must be closely supervised by a caregiver at all times to prevent accidents or injuries. Children must be within arm's reach of you and never be left alone with these tools. By following these guidelines, you can help children safely engage in creative or learning activities that involve tools while minimizing the risk of injury. It's important to remember that supervision and safety are key to using these tools in a safe and responsible manner. Let's go over a few updated rules regarding outdoor play equipment and safety practices for home childcare settings. Trampolines are not allowed for childcare children to use, except for rebounders, which are smaller individual trampolines that are safer for one child to use at a time. Play equipment may not be used on pavement or other hard surfaces when the equipment is over 18 inches in height. To promote safety during active play, it's strongly encouraged to have children wear helmets when using any bicycle, tricycle, balance bike, kick scooter, skateboard, or roller or inline skate. By following these updated guidelines, you can help ensure that children in your care have safe, fun, and engaging outdoor play experiences while minimizing the risk of injury. Now let's go over some important updates related to sick child exclusions, allergy care plans, and the use of EpiPens. The rules now include updated exclusion guidelines based on specific symptoms, and these guidelines have been aligned with the recommendations of the Oregon Health Authority and the Oregon Department of Education. If an EpiPen is used on a child, CCLD must be notified by 5 p.m. of the next business day. By following these updated guidelines, you'll help create a safer environment for all the children by making sure illnesses are properly managed, allergies are addressed, and any health incidences are properly reported. Next, let's review the updated rules related to serious injury and incident reporting, as well as some first aid requirements. Any serious injury or incident must be documented with a report. The report must include the signature of the parent indicating that they've reviewed the report or received a copy within 48 hours of the incident or injury occurring, and should be maintained in the child's file. An email or text confirming receipt will count as a parent's signature. The updated rules now include a dislocated bone as part of the serious injury category. If a child experiences a dislocation, it must be documented and reported as a serious injury. There have been some important additions to the first aid kit requirements. The additions include sling or triangular bandage, bottled water for cleaning wounds or eyes, tweezers, plastic bags, and cold packs. These additions ensure that your first aid kit is fully stocked to handle a broader range of injuries and incidences in the childcare setting. By ensuring these reporting requirements and first aid kit supplies are in place, you'll be prepared to handle any emergencies that may arise and provide accurate documentation and follow-up for the children in your care. Now, let's talk about some important updates regarding medication authorization and the administration of non-medical items in the childcare setting. For children with chronic medical conditions, caregivers may now receive up to 12 months of permission to administer medication related to that condition. You can now get over-the-phone permission from parents to administer a single dose of non-prescription medication. This permission should be documented and include who you received permission from, what time, and the medication that was given. All medication must be stored under a safety child lock to ensure that it's inaccessible to children. Emergency medication, such as an EpiPen or inhaler, must either be inaccessible to children or with you to ensure that it's readily available during an emergency, but maintained out of children's reach. You now have the option to receive annual authorization from parents for the use of non-medical items like sunscreen. For these non-medical items, you no longer need to document the application of sunscreen or diaper cream, making this process more streamlined. The rule previously prohibited the use of aerosol sunscreen. It has now been removed. But remember, sunscreen must always be applied according to the manufacturer's instructions. Finally, it's important to note that medication cannot be administered after its expiration date. These changes are meant to make medication management and the administration of non-medical items easier while ensuring the safety and well-being of the children in your care. Now, let's discuss the updated rules around written care plans for children who have or are at increased risk for chronic physical, developmental, behavioral, or emotional conditions. If a child requires additional supportive services that go beyond what's typically needed for a child, a written care plan must be developed and kept on file. This care plan should outline any specific services or accommodations that the child needs to thrive in your childcare setting. If the individualized service required for the child means that they will need to be out of direct supervision of the caregiver, parental permission is required. For example, if a child needs one-on-one therapy sessions or specialized care that takes them out of the general childcare group, you must have written consent from the parent or guardian before proceeding. The written care plan ensures that you are prepared to provide the right level of care and help ensure the child's safety and well-being in your care. This is essential in providing individualized, appropriate care for children with specific needs. I'll now hand it back over to Cynthia to go over the final areas we will be discussing this evening.
Thank you, Jenny. Let's now review the updated rules around food safety, the beverages that can be served, and the new choking hazard guidelines. Children are not allowed in the kitchen or food preparation areas while food is being prepared unless you are present to ensure the child's safety. You must also protect children from hazards such as hot foods, sharp utensils, or anything that could pose a risk. There's a new provision allowing parents to opt out of milk service. However, this cannot be a program-wide policy. It must be done at the parent's request. If a parent does not want milk served to their child, you must accommodate the request, ensuring alternatives are provided. You are now required to serve only the following beverages: water, milk or nutritionally equivalent milk substitute, and 100% fruit or vegetable juice. These options ensure that children receive nutritious beverages that support their health and well-being. There is now a list of choking hazards that cannot be served to children. It's important to be aware of which foods and items may pose a risk and avoid serving them to children in your care to prevent choking incidents. By following these updated guidelines, you can ensure that your child care setting remains safe, health conscious, and accommodating to parents' requests, while also minimizing risks like choking. Next, we'll review the updated rules regarding field trips and transportation safety. When taking children on a field trip, you must frequently check a written list of children on the field trip, ensuring that all children are accounted for. This check must occur before boarding and exiting the vehicle, and anytime the group changes locations on the field trip site. For example, for moving from one exhibit to the next. This helps ensure no child is left behind and the group is always properly supervised. When there are 6 or more children on the field trip, each child must wear an easily identifiable item, such as a label, shirt, or wristband displaying your name and telephone number, so the child can be identified if needed. Additionally, you must be easily identifiable as well to ensure others know who is supervising the children. Next, we'll review the updated rules regarding field trips and transportation safety. There are new transportation safety practices that must be followed, including specific information and items that must be maintained both at the program and in the vehicle. These help ensure that transportation is safe and well documented. A notice of the field trip must be posted at least 48 hours in advance and must include the date, destination, and estimated times of departure and return. The notice must be placed in a prominent area where parents and others can view it easily. A parent may be allowed to transport children other than their own without a caregiver present in the vehicle, but only if the parent meets certain substitute provider qualifications and transportation requirements as outlined in these rules. The parent must also be enrolled in the CVR. These updates ensure that children are safe and accounted for during field trips, and that transportation is well organized and properly communicated to both staff and parents. Now, let's go over the updated rules regarding water activities and swimming safety. For children engaged in activities in natural bodies of water, such as shallow surf, lakes, rivers, and streams, the activity is now limited to wading only. Swimming is not permitted in these environments. Additionally, children under the age of 36 months are prohibited from wading or swimming in natural bodies of water. There are new requirements for pools used in childcare settings. These updated guidelines are designed to enhance safety and ensure that any pool used for childcare meets specific criteria to minimize risks to children. The caregiver to child ratio for swimming has also been updated to ensure appropriate supervision during swimming activities. By following these updated rules, you can ensure that children are safe during these water activities, whether they're in natural bodies of water or in pools. Now, let's address a new rule regarding animal contact. You must ensure that any animal accessible to child care children is healthy with no signs of disease, friendly and non-aggressive towards children, free of ticks, fleas, and worms, fully immunized, including rabies vaccinations for dogs, with proof of vaccination on file, and kept in a cage or tank, except for cats and dogs. Providers must take precaution when encountering unfamiliar animals or strays to ensure children's safety. Now let's go over an important update that relates specifically to providing night care. These changes were made to ensure that children receive safe, supervised, and developmentally appropriate care during nighttime hours. First, let's talk about supervision and safety. Providers are now required to be on the same floor level as sleeping children. This is to ensure that they can respond quickly and appropriately if a child needs assistance during the night. Additionally, any guest or individual aged 18 or older who is sleeping in the home while care is being provided must be enrolled in the CVR. Next, let's review sleeping arrangements and hygiene. Children who are in full-time night care must have their own bed and mattress, and the mattress must include a waterproof cover. For children, except infants, providers must supply sheets, pillows, and blankets to support a comfortable and developmentally appropriate sleep environment. To maintain hygiene, bedding must be washed at least once a week or anytime it becomes soiled and before and after another child uses it. Let's continue exploring the key rules around night care. When it comes to bathing and personal care, there are new requirements if providers are offering bathing. The home must have a bathtub or shower with non-slip surfaces to prevent accidents. Each child must also be given their own washcloth and towel. For school-age children, privacy during bathing must be respected, aligning with their developmental needs. In addition, children must have the opportunity to brush their teeth before bed using an individual toothbrush and toothpaste, which supports both health and routine. Nutrition is also an important part of nighttime care. All meals and snacks must meet established nutritional guidelines. If a child hasn't eaten before arriving, dinner must be provided to ensure they don't go to bed hungry. Even after dinner, children should be offered a nutritious snack before bedtime. And if a child is still present in the morning, breakfast must be served unless the parent has specifically opted out. These guidelines help support the health and well-being of children by promoting consistent, balanced nutrition during their time in your care. And that brings us to the end of today's webinar on the Registered Family Child Care Rule Revision. Thank you all so much for taking the time to join us and for your continued dedication to providing safe, nurturing, high-quality care for children and families across Oregon. Your role is incredibly important, and we appreciate the work that you do every day to support early learning and development. As you begin to implement these updated rules, we want to remind you that you're not alone. For additional information, tools, and training resources, please visit our website at www.oregon.gov/DELC. It is a great place to find the most up-to-date guidance and support and materials related to the new rule revisions. And of course, if you have specific questions or concerns about these changes and how they apply to your program, please reach out to your licensor directly. They are a support to you and a help as you navigate these changes or adjustments that you may need to make. Again, thank you for your time, attention, and commitment. Together, we're creating a safer, more supportive environment for children in every corner of our state. Have a great evening, and we look forward to connecting with you again soon.